And we are live. Welcome, friends. Central Florida Weather Live, the show coming to you on a Thursday evening. A little bit unusual time from our normal Monday and Friday 1 o'clock time slots. But as I've said, I'm not married to that time. But also, as we head towards the Easter weekend, I thought I would get this done this evening, get you prepared for your Easter weekend forecast, as some folks will probably be out and about and ready to get going on their Friday. And again, let me know in the comment section below if you want to have this show maybe at this time frame. One reason why I don't normally do it in the evening is as we get closer to the wet season, obviously this is the time of the day where we'll be tracking some storms live for you guys. As we get started, appreciate you joining me. Make sure you hit that like button. As always, Central Florida Weather Live is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They cover the entire state, anything that could impact you or your property. So think hail, wind damage, when we get the hurricanes, or if you've been in an auto accident, they'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process, offering free consultation and policy reviews. If you want to support someone who supports the channel, you can check out leanonmelaw.com. Their logo, their information at the bottom of the screen. All right, let's get into it, guys. Great to see you guys. Let me know in the comments section below where you're viewing from. You got a specific question about the forecast. As we get into Easter, let me know. It's been another beautiful day, been another hot day. I chaperoned my 10-year-old's trip today, and it was pretty steamy in the afternoon hours. And you could just tell it's just been dry lately. Everything was just crunchy out there. The grass, just everything looks like it's been dried out. And again, this is a problem this time of the year when we lack these cold fronts and before our sea breeze storms kick in. Now, nice afternoon. We had some areas run into the upper 80s, but a nice little easterly breeze kept East Coast areas actually at a very pleasant temperature for today, from St. Augustine to Palm Coast, Ormond Beach, Daytona Beach, Titusville, Merritt Island, Palm Bay, back down to Indian River County. Most areas today topped off just with daytime highs in the upper 70s. Hottest weather was going to be out in our western zones, portions of Osceola, into the kind of interior sections of Hillsborough County. We were looking at daytime highs there in the 80s. But again, when we take a look at what the temperatures were like in Orlando, it was 82 degrees here at 7 o'clock. The dew point's at 55, which is not horrible, but the relative humidity is only 45%. So the fire threat continues to stay elevated. And from time to time, we've had some breezier winds. We have an east wind right now, at around 17 miles an hour as an actual wind gust. These are the wind gusts in the area. They've been stronger than that from time to time today. We've had some 20, 25, close to 30 mile an hour winds in some areas. Hi, Farrah. How you doing? Appreciate you tuning in. Farrah, a friend of the channel. Hope you're doing well there on the East Coast. Again, just like Farrah, let me know in the comment section below where you're viewing from. The interaction is what I love. It also helps out the channel as well. And again, thank you for sharing this with your family and friends, those who you think might get a little bit something out of it right now. Infrared satellite imagery is not going to tell much more of a bigger story than what we're seeing right now across the area as far as visible satellite imagery. You're hard pressed to find a cloud in the sky. Before we go any further, we got to make sure we take a look at our live cameras. Let's get into that gorgeous shot here. Again, a little bit different time of the day, so let's take a look at these cameras. This is from Lake Conway, just south and east of downtown Orlando. First of all, you can certainly tell that breeze. How you doing, Linda? Great to see you tuning in on this Thursday evening. I appreciate you very much. We're looking off to the east here from Lake Conway, so we're looking back towards the East Coast. Again, the wind's kind of coming towards our camera here, east to southeast. You can see the ripple effect here across Lake Conway, but a beautiful, mid-April afternoon and into the evening hours for us here. Going to be another gorgeous sunset for us here as we get a little bit closer to that. By the way, your live temperatures and everything is scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Those are all, updated observations for areas across all of Central Florida, so you can find your hometown there and see what's happening in your area. I can tell you this. No one's going to say that they're seeing any rain right now. The sun is setting on the western side. This is from Winter Garden in West Orange County. Of course, obviously, we're looking off towards the west as the sun begins to lower into the horizon right now. You're hard pressed to find a cloud in the sky in most areas. nothing but sunshine and dry weather again for today as well. Yep, gorgeous shots out there. Appreciate it. Absolutely fantastic evening coming up. If you love the sunsets that Central Florida have to offer, you've got another gorgeous one coming. And by the end of this live stream, we're not going to be on for too long tonight, but by the end of this live stream, remind me, we'll check back in with this winter garden camera and catch probably a little bit more hues there right along the horizon. We're looking great in the attractions area. Again, this is our Disney camera. We're just 1 mile from the Disney property. We're looking back towards the Magic Kingdom here, kind of looking back south and west. If you're headed to the attractions in this early evening on this Thursday, you're going for the fireworks. Everything looks to be great. It's been a little bit steamy. It's going to calm down a little bit. It's going to be a little bit cooler from time to time for us here as far as the evening goes. You know, that's it. That's what we're going to get. We're going to get the opportunity to see a little bit of some, nicer weather in the mornings, right? Still some, decently cool starts to the days. But these daytime highs, they're going to get hot. And that's going to be the situation. Now, we're going to be getting into, obviously, the weekend forecast. I've got a couple of 3-day forecasts for you, which include Easter. We'll break that down. First of all, before we get into anything kind of regional and how that's going to impact our weather, I've mentioned it the last several streams here. I'm going to bring on this. Bear with me real quickly. I just want to, again, get back to our drought monitor because we continue to see elevated drought conditions in Florida. And as a matter of fact, we're now at an extreme drought just south of Lake Okeechobee. Anywhere you see the browns is abnormally dry. Yellow is a slight drought. Orange is a moderate drought. Red is the extreme drought. And again, I mentioned this, I think, the last several times we've done a live show, that most areas have had 50% or less of their normal rainfall since October. This is a prolonged dry period, and it gets worse when you get deeper into April and May, and you have this deficit because we still don't have our sea breeze storms kicking in. Those don't normally come in until at least the second week of May. Sometimes it's deep into May. Sometimes the wet season doesn't even kick in until sometime in June. It just changes every year. We typically see it happen sometime in May, and we want it to happen sooner than later because now you're starting to get the lack of these cold fronts, right? Cold fronts bring us the rain this time of the year, but as those fronts weaken and they don't bring us the rain opportunities, this is when we really get dry. And the problem is that I don't see this changing much. We'll talk about the extended forecast coming up, maybe getting a little bit more rain next week at some points in time, but not anytime soon. How you doing? How's the weather for Easter and next week? Got you covered, Linda. We're going to get into it. I promise you. That's one reason why we do these shows. Look, Linda asked the question. That's why I come on 2 days a week. This is a live only channel, but I do these shows to get you prepared. The Monday show gets you prepared for the rest of the week. The Friday gets you prepared for Friday. And the weekend, of course, coming to you on a Thursday evening this time, but we'll get you prepared for the weekend as well. And then obviously when we have impactful weather here in Central Florida, I'm back on with you guys as well. All right, so let's kind of talk about what's happening regionally right now. We have another severe weather outbreak beginning to develop in the Western Great Lakes and the Plains, which is going to eventually pull a cold front close enough to get us some rain. It's not going to happen over the Easter weekend, though. If you have some outdoor plans for the Easter weekend, we're looking pretty darn good. Let's break down what's happening with this because eventually this is going to impact our area. First of all, right now, believe it or not, we've had up to 10 inches of snow in Montana and Wyoming, and they could get well over a foot of snow in Wyoming and Colorado. Vail, Breckenridge, just west of Denver, west of Casper, Wyoming there, towards Jackson Hole. Big time spring snow, maybe some areas even up to 2 feet. I'm going to bring on the fronts and the areas of low pressure. This is a very strong area of low pressure near what we call the triple point, okay? And anywhere south of our warm front in red is warm, moisture-laden air. As a matter of fact, kind of doing this piecemeal rather than all at once, but that's okay. Temperatures in some areas in Oklahoma and Kansas today hit 100 degrees. Okay, I don't know if that'll pop back on real quick, but we had a couple of spots right around 100 for a daytime high. That's a lot of fuel to the fire when you have a big time air mass difference. Hot, dry air, cold, moisture-laden air, slam together in the plains. Winds are 40, 50 miles an hour in some spots. even 60 miles an hour towards Albuquerque, and all modes of severe weather will begin to break out in this area. Okay, right now they're just starting to see the first warnings being issued. So when I show you that, let me take this loop down just by a couple of hours for us here. That was interesting. Back to warnings. I believe we are just little glitch. I'll keep it here. See, we're just starting to see, I believe our first purple polygons were popping up there, right there, and that's going to be your tornado warnings, right? Unfortunately, this is getting towards Omaha, Nebraska. Now, I know we're getting kind of out of the realm of Central Florida, but take a look at this, guys. And the other thing, too, is that this tornado warning has hail of at least 2 inches in size. The actual watch includes hails up to 3 inches in size. That's a baseball size hail coming with this. And again, maybe just north of the Omaha area. But there you go. And again, there's 2.5 with that severe thunderstorm warning. Can you imagine? And I've been it because, you know, I worked in Oklahoma. My car got destroyed, like literally destroyed twice by baseball to softball size hail. I've been in it. When you're in a building and that's coming down, you can't hear yourself. It's amazing. Garrett, how you doing there? Yeah, 100 in dry heat. That's it, Linda. 100 in dry heat. No doubt about it. But you can see that the severe storms are beginning to break out along the cold front that I mentioned. You can, I mean, all you have to do is follow the cold front, and anywhere east of there towards the warm front is going to be where all the severe weather is going to be breaking out. So for today, the risk of severe storms is high in those areas, and they do have a tornado watch and a severe thunderstorm watch. The purple is your tornado watch. The red is your severe thunderstorm watch. By the way, just to show you guys, look at these wind gusts. 70-mile-an-hour winds near Santa Fe, New Mexico. I just did my Weather Express video for the day, which, by the way, again, I do another channel where we do a 5-minute. It's really quick, but it's good. A 5-minute forecast across the country. You can find a link to that channel here at CFLW if you look at the video description. And we had 70-mile-an-hour winds. Unbelievable stuff. But again, this will eventually impact us. It's going to take some days, but it's coming. These are current winds just ripping through the southern plains. It's unbelievable. Tomorrow's severe weather risk extends all the way from the southern sides of Michigan to Oklahoma and the northern sides of Texas. Now that's the yellow, slight risk, 2 out of 5. You have the 1 out of 5 and the marginal around that. And eventually into Saturday, it sinks a little bit farther off towards the south. So this is Saturday's severe weather risk. If maybe you are traveling, right, for the Easter weekend, get prepared for the southern plains and portions of the Midwest for some active weather. It'll be more thunderstorm and winds, you know, north of like St. Louis and Indianapolis and Columbus, Ohio, and an isolated tornado risk from Springfield, Missouri, back to Oklahoma City and Dallas. So if maybe you're going into Dallas, you got it. Why is the weather so wacky? Because it's spring. It's spring and you are beginning to get out of the cold weather season, but you still have that cold air plunging out of the mountain areas and then the warm, dry air from Texas and Mexico. And again, the larger the difference in the air masses, the more likely you are to have higher end storms, okay? So that's a really cold, moisture-laden air mass with, again, more than a foot of snow. The hot, dry air coming all the way into South Minnesota opens up a big area for severe storms. And May is the worst month for severe storms, including tornadic activity in the U.S., obviously, especially in the plains and the Arklatex and portions of the Midwest. So this is not out of the ordinary, right? But the fact that we're going to have several days worth. Now, the Easter Sunday risk slips farther off to the Arklatex area. So this is Easter Sunday, okay? St. Louis, back down towards Shreveport, Alexandria, Louisiana. But you get the idea, this is creeping south and to the east. It's slow. So the problem is those folks that are going to be in it are going to be in it for several days. And then beyond that, I did check this. I want to make sure they didn't update it. I'm just looking at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then eventually back into next Thursday. Okay, they have no risk areas. So at least as of right now, we're not under any risk as this system tries to approach our area. So it's going to take a while for us here. But when I bring on these 10-meter winds, again, everything is out of the south. It's really unbelievable. Make those a little bit bigger for you guys. But look at those streaming south to southwest winds, which again have hit 70 miles an hour in New Mexico. And then they clash with this area of low pressure. And actually the strongest area of low pressure right now is in the southern sides of Minnesota. But tremendous. Now for us again, we had a nice easterly breeze for today. That's going to start to turn a little bit more out of the south, and it's going to start to get a little bit hotter for us here over the coming days. So let's break down the past. Let me get back to the chat here real quick, by the way. Past 5 weeks have been the most windy weeks I can remember here in North Carolina. Yeah, it's been, I mean, I will say, Garrett, I appreciate you letting me know that if I bring on the wind gusts across the country, there's not a lot of areas that aren't reporting some kind of a pretty darn strong wind. Now, the highest are in the Four Corners and the Southern Plains, but you've got a lot of 25 and 30 mile an hour winds. And even here in Florida today, again, it wasn't crazy, but we had some 20, 25. Orlando was actually the highest wind at around 26 miles an hour. All right, so let's get into the models. I'm going to go ahead and take our GFS model here. I'll switch back over to precip type. Let's see here. We'll start tomorrow morning, and I'm going to take it out several days for you guys. So it'll take 1 second to fully loop up, and I'll switch on the top left-hand side of your screen. I'll switch it over to the model timeline so you guys get the idea. All right. So today is the 17th, which means that Easter Sunday is the 20th, right? Yep. So probably looking at the potential for some showers and storms mid next week, but not until then, right? So again, you can see the GFS model beginning to crank up here, but look how elongated our storms are going to be. This is going to impact a lot of the plains in the upper Midwest and the southern Great Lakes into the Tennessee Valley, Arklatex, and even the Ohio Valley for the Easter weekend. And again, because it is a holiday travel weekend, just keep that in mind. If for some of you, you have folks either coming in from those areas or you're traveling to those areas, weather could be an impact, because these aren't just going to be showers and some isolated, stronger storms. This is going to be a pretty good severe weather event, right? We're already starting to see that 2.5, nearly 3-inch size hail beginning to develop in some of these areas. But you can see that spin coming up there. So for at least the remainder of the Easter weekend, we are going to be dry. Going to be beautiful. It's going to be hot. I'll have a couple of forecasts for you guys, but there's going to be a couple of spots over the Easter weekend. They're going to be hitting 90 degrees here in Central Florida. Back to the chat. Been playing golf, been crazy. I can understand that. Yep, Garrett, a friend of the channel from North Carolina, which again, if you guys follow me, I love North Carolina. We spent a lot of time in North Carolina. For spring break, we were in North Carolina. It's like the closest area to get out of the weather of the Southeast, because you can get into the mountains, you can get into some colder air. We love Beach Mountain, we love Sugar Mountain. We can get up there to Banner Elk, enjoy that. We even went into the southern sides of West Virginia. That was where my first job was, North Central West Virginia. I hadn't been back in 25 years plus, but it was good to get back there. Blue Goose, how you doing? 71 with 67% humidity. Generally gorgeous. Yeah, you guys had it today, Blue Goose, on the East Coast. You guys were the Gold Star area with the easterly breeze for today. Indeed. Hopefully not too long, Linda. Hopefully not too long, but long enough. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. And again, thank you while you're here for liking this live stream. Thank you for joining me on a Thursday evening. Again, normally we do this Monday and Friday afternoons at 1 o'clock. As I've mentioned, that we'll shift that from time to time. I'm not married to any one time frame, but again, setting this regularly in the evening may not be the better idea, because again, when we get into our wet season, this would be the time of the day I'll probably be tracking some storms, but I'm not opposed to doing these during the evening as well. So if this is a better time frame for you, let me know in the comment section below. If you're watching this in the recorded version, again, I appreciate you guys tuning in live. I want that live interaction, but you can always watch at your convenience. This gets archived under the live tab of the YouTube channel. So CFLW, you go to the live tab, it'll be there. You have a specific question about the forecast, even if you're watching this recorded, feel free to drop it down in the comment section below as well. All right, so I've taken this out all the way until Wednesday of next week, the 23rd, right? And we're beginning to blush with an opportunity for a few showers and storms. I would expect there to pick up a bit of an easterly breeze and enough moisture to try and track in a little bit of rain, but it is not going to be shocking, even through next Wednesday, that we are going to be high and dry here in Central Florida, which means follow the regulations of any water restrictions for your yards. But the only way the grass isn't going to be crunchy is if you're running those sprinklers a little bit as well. Thank you, Garrett. Appreciate that. Thank you, Farah. Hey, listen, I'm at you all's service, right? And again, I've mentioned it before, and you guys can tell me how it works, but make sure you have all notifications on. Because again, I'm not going to inundate you with notifications, but if you have, if you've subscribed to the channel, you can set your notification preferences. For this channel specifically, I really recommend all notifications because I'm only on live and I'm only on when there's something to talk about. You guys know I do the Monday and Friday show normally, but if I'm outside of that time frame, it's probably because we have some severe weather to talk about, right? Now, I made a post today reminding you guys that I was going to be going on tonight rather than Friday afternoon, and we talked about that on Monday's show as well. But again, when you get that notification, why is Rusty on at 8:12 p.m. on a Tuesday? You know that you probably want to tune in and make sure that there's not some severe weather headed your way. All right, so hopefully this fully loads up here. It's taken its darn sweet time, I will give it that, but you get the idea that even on the GFS model, and I have taken this out now 8 days, maybe this next front mid to late next week gets in here. But this time of the year, guys, when we get into late April, these cold fronts typically don't make it in. It's got to be a pretty darn strong one to push the rain, to push the north winds all the way in. We had one last week, right? But the deeper into April and May that we get, it's going to be hard pressed. So we have to watch out for the opportunity here to not get any rain anytime soon. We'll take a look at the 6 to 10 day forecasts coming up. But now let's get into your Easter weekend forecast. Switch over to here. All right, here we go. First of all, come on, man. I put the Easter bunnies on there. Easter ears for you. The bunny ears. Yep, there's been fires of all kinds. Blue goose, no doubt about it. Yep. When we were in North Carolina, they had a statewide burn ban. And that was mid-March. It was literally a month ago. Literally a month ago, and they had a burn ban in all of North Carolina. So we were staying at state parks, but we couldn't even use the fire pit our last day because they had a burn ban go into effect. Let's break down Orlando's forecast for our holiday weekend, friends. First of all, again, a lot of sunshine, maybe a few clouds on Easter Sunday itself. But other than that, it's beautiful. Sunny and dry tomorrow, morning low of 62, 85 the daytime high. Staying warm for this time of the year into the Easter weekend. Saturday 85, Sunday 86. Breezy conditions Sunday afternoon. First of all, again, church services in the morning or sunset church services, either Saturday or Sunday, are going to be just fine. All right. Maybe a windbreaker for some folks, but probably not, right? You're not going to have to layer up. It's going to be beautiful. We're going to have an east to a southeast breeze on Sunday afternoon. So we're getting up to 86. But what that does mean, if you live along our East Coast, and I know Linda does, and Farah does, and Blue Goose does, your temperatures will be cooler over the weekend because you're going to have the onshore flow tapping into the relatively cooler waters of the Atlantic. Okay? So 85 Saturday in Orlando, 86 on Sunday. Keep that in mind. East wind over the weekend. What happens to the West Coast? They have an inland wind. They don't have the onshore breeze. So now it gets stiflingly hot in Tampa. in St. Petersburg, in Brandon, in Sarasota, Bradenton, Spring Hill, Inverness, Ocala, the Villages, especially if you live away from the coast, right? And that's what it's going to be for the next 3 days. Bit of an east to a southeast wind. So 90, the daytime high tomorrow in Tampa, after a morning low of 64. Subtly, I've got an 89 on Saturday. Dry again, and just a really hot Easter, right? Again, beautiful conditions for the church services, but hot. 90, the daytime high for Easter Sunday this year, after a morning low of 67. Yeah, man. You know, you hear those evacuations and stuff. Thanks, Garrett. Yeah, but you hear those evacuations and it's a problem. You know, and again, look, we have to be really vigilant here in Central Florida as well, right? You know, any kind of, you know, burning outdoors, dropping the cigarette butt, grilling, you know, it just depends. We're not to the extreme yet, but when we're continuing to pile on the dry weather after being dry for now nearly 6 months in a row, it becomes a big issue. Gorgeous weekend. Look, get outside and enjoy it. It's a pool weekend. It really is. It's an attractions weekend if you want to get out there and enjoy those too. Let's get back to our winter garden camera. I told you guys as we get a little bit deeper into this live stream, we would have some better hues in the sky as well. Hi, Fiona. How you doing? Oh, get yourself to Alaska. That's a fantastic call, by the way. Well done. Live look outside of winter garden, friends. The first bit of our sun is dipping under the horizon. A little bit of orange in the sky right now. There is nothing but clear sky as we look west from the western sides of Orange County. That, my friends, is a gorgeous shot indeed. All right. That's Lake Conway, by the way. We're looking east, so we're looking in the opposite direction, but still some beautiful hues in the sky there as well. So let me get myself back on camera. And I want to also real quickly, you know, we just looked at basically the fact that we probably aren't going to have any rain. This is the GFS model for rainfall totals in the next 5 days. Eek. Zip. Nada mucho. And we're not just talking about Central Florida, but potentially barely a drop of rain across the entire state. Now you contrast that, right, with what's going to be happening to our north and to our west. And with that front, we're going to have 6+ inches of rain from Dallas to Oklahoma City, through Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, up to Indianapolis. All those oranges, 5, 6, 7 inches of rain. So flooding could be a problem with that front, because remember I told you it's going to be really slow moving. The severe weather setup is several days, a multi-day severe weather event here, but also developing each afternoon for 3 or 4 days in a row. I think we're going to get some totals more than 10 inches in a couple of spots, because I saw what happened in the Tennessee Valley the last time this happened a couple of weeks ago, and they had up to 18 inches of rain in some areas. So to get more than 10 inches in these areas is not out of the question whatsoever. But unfortunately, it leaves us high and dry. Now, when we look at the temperature outlook, and let me do this real quickly as well. I'm going to go out to the big view and then bring us on. When we look at the temperature outlook over the next 6 to 10 days. Now, by the way, again, this forecast is the extended. It doesn't take into account the next 5 days. This is literally the 6 to 10 day outlook. So we're going extended here. But anywhere in the oranges to reds and deeper reds, it's an above average chance to see temperatures above normal in the 6 to 10 day time frame. Only the West Coast, California, southern sides of Oregon, have a neutral chance to see normal temperatures. Everywhere else across the United States is expected to be above average temperatures or have a higher than normal opportunity to be above average in the 6 to 10 day time frame. So this hot weather is not going anywhere. We might drop it down a few degrees, but we're still not going to get back to normal temperatures as we push close to the beginning of May. Today is the 17th, so this forecast basically is talking about the 23rd through the 27th, right? The 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 day time frame out here. 23rd through the 27th. So even as we get close to May, it's not like we're going to be cooling off any, and there's a lot of heat building east of the Mississippi. Rainfall outlook. Where is it going to be drier than normal? Yep, us. We're in the brown, okay? And what that means is, now thank goodness we're not into the darker browns, but we have a higher than normal chance to see the 6 to 10 day time frame drier than average. And I already showed you through day 7, we may not get any rain. So there is absolutely an opportunity that 8, 9, and 10, we struggle to get a lot more in the way of precipitation to move back in. I'm not ready to say that the next 10 days are going to be completely bone dry, but I think that at least the next 5 are going to be. And we'll just have to see if that area to our north and west wants to try and slip in and bring us a little bit of rain. As I've mentioned, if you're going to get wet, it's going to be in the southern plains the next several days into the 6 to 10 day time frame as well. Well, unfortunately, overall, Linda, it's that the pattern isn't changing. It isn't shifting. We don't have, this big trough developing in the east to pull down the moisture-laden air. Because again, we're not getting our sea breeze storms to come in yet. It's not that time of the year. This is always the highest wildfire season. We get a secondary one in the fall once the dry season kicks in to begin. But late April and into May, before we get the wet season and our sea breeze storms to arrive in the afternoon hours and to bring some heavier rain as well. Again, the problem too is that even if we get fronts this time of the year, like the last couple, some of them can have really paltry rainfall totals, a couple of hundredths of an inch, maybe a tenth of an inch in some spots. It's those sea breeze storms that provide us the 1 to 2 inches every day in choice locations. And that's what we need to get. Blue Goose says was trying to make it to, oh, sorry. I caught the tail end of that one as well. Has the Gulf Stream corrected? What do you mean by that, Fiona? I mean, the Gulf Stream obviously is a big influence in our weather. Warm, warm current coming up the East Coast. And we already talked about, by the way, again, in the last video, how there's an opportunity in hurricane season that we are under the gun for a very active season. Now, I'll be kind of breaking that down more and more as we get closer to June 1st. But I showed in Monday's video, our live stream, how, there was a prediction that the accumulated cyclone energy for the Bahamas and the southeast United States was going to be above average this year. Kind of their comparison was the 2019 season. And if you guys remember Hurricane Dorian over Grand Bahama, that was in the 2019 season, where these storms gain latitude quickly in the Western Atlantic and then push due west, right? So not a great forecast for us. And nothing that I've seen has a below average number of named storms this year. Everyone is either average or above average. And remember, if you haven't heard as of yet, or we haven't talked about it and you guys have tuned in, La Nina is done. La Nina is no more. We are now in a neutral ENSO pattern, we call it. A very weak El Nino could develop throughout hurricane season, but at this point in time, it's not forecast to be strong enough to actually have a lot of influence. So it's going to be a lot more localized, right? But again, remember, sea surface temperatures are still running well above average. And what is an average hurricane season? That definition has changed as well. We look at the 30-year average from 1990 to 2020, but we see in the last 5 to 10 years that we have basically exceeded that almost each and every year. Even last year, with an unprecedented unprecedented drought in named storms from mid-August to mid to late September. I think it was 40 days that we didn't have a named storm in that time frame. And yet we still had above normal named storms, hurricanes, major hurricanes. Gotcha. Oh, I'll let the chat tell you that, Garrett. I mean, it just depends on what your flavor is, right? I mean, obviously the Orlando area has your attractions. The East Coast has some gorgeous beaches along the East Coast there. You got some great fishing along the West Coast and the Panhandle. You want to get down to Miami if you want to get crazy. You got the Florida Keys if you really want to do the Jimmy Buffett thing. I spent more than a year of my life in the Keys. That was our family vacation every year. We would go down to Island Murata. But I mean, you know, if you're a golfer, you can't miss out. Regardless of where you choose to go in Florida, you're going to find a nice golf course. So, yeah, I mean, if you guys want to throw in the chat, let Garrett know where your favorite vacation spot is in Florida. You know, if I was vacationing, I'd make sure that I at least could get to a beach. Now, that's not hard to do, even if you're in Orlando. You know, this time of the year as well. But again, look at these temperatures in the plains, guys. Look at all that warm, moisture-laden air. Again, if you're just tuning in, we have a lot of severe weather breaking out right now in the northern plains. And eventually this system is going to try and bring us some rain and storms as well. But it's going to take a while. It's going to be a bit before it actually gets here. Let's check out Omaha. Yeah, Omaha's getting hammered right now. Thank goodness that there's no tornado. But look at this, guys. Ah, too close. Now, again, my weather computer will break down just how high end of a severe thunderstorm this is. And we have seen considerable, the word used with some of our storms here in Central Florida with my weather computer, but I have not seen one that said destructive, okay? And that's when you have 80-mile-an-hour winds and baseball-size hail, 2.7-inch size hail. Baseball to probably close to softball-size hail. That's destructive. And it probably is going to hit the northern sides of Omaha. Obviously, I'm just pointing out the storms that are developing here. You know, there's our considerable. We've seen that here in Central Florida, 60 and 2-inch size hail. Can you, I mean, again, I can imagine because I've been through it, but if you haven't, can you imagine baseballs falling on your roof? It's no fun, I can tell you that. Yeah, you got it, Garrett. I mean, in all seriousness, man, it depends on what's your, you know, what's your biggest attraction? Is it, you know, Disney and the attractions? Is it finding a nice golf course? Is it staying at the beaches? Because you can really find all of that, you know. Daytona Beach area has some great golf courses. Jacksonville, as you know, with the Players. TPC Sawgrass, they have some great stuff. Tampa does as well. You know, don't go down to Miami if you want to do the golf course thing or the Keys. That's just to sit on the beach and have a nice drink. And there's your severe weather risk again for today. All right. And these storm reports aren't going to be fun either. 81-mile-an-hour winds. Ugh. Sorry, East Nebraska. You're getting it today. All right, we got to one more time because we have the camera, and darn it, I'm going to use it. Back to Winter Garden. Sun setting. What a gorgeous shot. Beautiful hues in the sky. You got those deeper oranges. We'll probably get a little bit of pink out of that as well. But that's why we live in Florida, right? Isn't that gorgeous? Shout out to St. Augustine. Yep. Took the family there last year, as a matter of fact, Blue Goose. Now, the kids, and both of my kids are school age, they have, I believe it's 4th grade that does St. Augustine every year. Maybe 5th grade. But my older son was sick that day, and so last year we went as a family to St. Augustine, and of course you do the fort. But fantastic food as well. Really enjoyed it there. No doubt about it. Kennedy Space Center. Love Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. Spent a lot of time there myself as well. Friends, I think we're going to wrap up the live stream for right now. As always, CFLW, sponsored by the Lien Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They cover the entire state, right? We never like to think about it, right? But if something in your life happens that impacts yourself, like you're in a car accident, personal injury, or you and your home have been impacted by storms, hail, hurricanes. That's why they help to sponsor this channel. You can go to leanonmelaw.com. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. They'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. Again, we don't like to think about it, but we want to have an advocate on our side if that arises. And Bobby Lean and the team at leanonmelaw.com, they were there to help you. So if you'd like to support someone who supports me and the channel, you can go to them if that ever arises in your life. I want everyone to have a very safe and happy Easter, from my family to yours. Please enjoy the beautiful weather. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be hot. Make sure you wear the sunscreen, drink plenty of water. I will see you Monday at 1 o'clock for a regular show. We'll talk about if that active weather in the plains is going to try and make a run into Central Florida sometime next week, or just how many days in a row we might be piling up the dry conditions here in Central Florida. Have a great rest of your Friday. A very happy Easter to everyone. Thank you again for liking this live stream. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Everyone stay safe. But again, please have a great Easter, and I'll see you guys Monday at 1 o'clock. Until then, sincerely, please take care. See you soon.